I think that's still one of the most silly D lines I've ever seen, put together.
No,
I
definitely.
think once it's all said and done, people go look at that D line like, how did y'all do this? Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. I got one of my favorite guys on today, Defo. How you been, brother?
I've been good, just out here grinding. Like I told you, I'm out here in Greenville, South Carolina. I was training out at Clemson, so, it's just another off season.
Yeah, with all the big dogs. Well, I see in your off season, you and Kittle won beer Olympics. I was like, come on now, always competing, I see.
Yeah, got to compete some way, somehow. George hit me up a couple months ago. He was like, hey, bro, you want to join me in this beer Olympics? I said, nope. I said, just tell me the date and the time and I'll be there.
What were the events?
So we started off with a little a beer chug, a boot chug, dust boot. And that was the one I was worried about for real. I was like, I can't chug beer like that. That's not me. Right. That's not me. So we started off with that to get the seeding. It was the combined times from the teams, and we ended up being the 7th seed after that. I'm gonna be honest, I held the team back on that one. That was all me. I was all me, but I made up for it. We had Flip Cup next. Me and Kittle, we tore that up. We won the whole thing, and then the next was beer pong. We got out in like the second round of beer pong. That was supposed to be our strongest event, and it was tough.
You dropped the ball.
But, the next one was beer ball. We dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. I'll be honest. Beer ball, I brought it back. Held it down for the squad. We won the whole thing, and then we had that whole relay against Taylor and Will, and we took it home. We took the trophy home, baby.
See, it kind of sounds like y'all upset the field. 7 seed coming up all the way back. A lot of adversity.
Underdogs, a lot of adversity. A lot of, but we love it.
I love it. It had to be fun to hang out with the guys, though.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially hanging out with Kittle again. You know how George is, man. He's always a good time. So it was nice being able to reconnect after the past year.
Yeah. It looked fun. It looked a lot of fun. I saw some of the pictures and videos. So a lot of people don't know this about you, but you were a hooper, a legit hooper.
Yeah.
Gatorade Player of the Year in Hawaii. So why didn't you go hooping?
Nah, yeah. So that was, man, I loved football. I mean, basketball. Basketball was like my first love for real. My dad put me on. He was a big hooper back in the day, his day. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man. I mean, just the way everything turned out back home in Hawaii, football, that's everything. And I ended up actually getting hurt going into my junior year for basketball. I was getting some looks at out in Vegas. My AAU team was going to go out there and compete. And I ended up getting hurt before the trip. So, I didn't really get any looks, and, nobody's really going out to Hawaii to recruit. It's a good thing I focused on football because everything turned out the way, it's supposed to.
Oh, no question. And no question about that. So,
yes,
so do you think you would have went to Oregon if you were born somewhere else? Because I know there's a big Oregon fan base in Hawaii. So did that influence your decision going there?
Most definitely. Just being from Hawaii, I just wanted to make sure that my family was, it was easy for them to get to my games and little things like that. So staying on the West Coast was big for me. I never left the Rock before, so it was definitely going to be a challenge. I knew I was going to get homesick at some point, and I definitely did back at Oregon. But I was lucky. I had, had Marcus. I had a couple of my guys from Hawaii, Bronson, Koa, and a bunch of other guys on the team that, helped me kind of get through that homesickness, because, I had a bunch of guys from Hawaii with me. So it all worked out.
I understand that. I would appreciate that too. You know what I mean? You got to have some sense of family.
Right.
What other big offers were you considering?
Man, it was all really in the Pac-12. It was, I had UCLA, Cal, it was Washington State, who else? Utah, Colorado, and then obviously I had Hawaii. But yeah, that was about it. Oh, Arizona State.
Did you ever consider going to UH?
My
it had to cross your mind.
It was a little bit, and it was actually UH was actually my last offer, which is crazy. That was my last offer. But yeah, I mean, my entire life though, like growing up there, my whole entire upbringing, I wanted to get off the island. You know, I wanted to experience something else. You know, I mean, growing up there 18 years, I mean, you kind of end up knowing a lot of people, everybody, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know, everybody kind of knows everybody back home. So I was just like, you know, I want to venture out and kind of do my own thing. And, you know, Oregon was just like, I went on my visit there and it was like, you know, I actually had 5 visits set up after my senior season. Oregon was the first visit. I had 5 weeks in a row. I was going to go on a whole, you know, university tour type deal. And Oregon was number 1, and that was my last trip. I mean, after that trip, I was like, I'm done. I'm set.
That
was it.
I love it. I love it. That's I mean, obviously a great decision. It worked out. Then you get to the Niners, which is still West Coast, and you're feeling good. I know your family hype.
Oh man, like I had so many family that were Niner fans before, you know, I even got there. So they, you know, they were all hype. So I decided to stay in Hawaii for the draft. You know, I got invited to the draft and everything, but I was like, man, I gotta. They only told me you can only bring so many people, and I was like, man, I got a lot more people than this. So who's helped me? You know, who's helped me to get to that moment? And I wanted to share that moment with everybody. You know, that's helped me along the way, and you know, with my family, my friends. So I mean, I threw this whole draft party and everything back at one of my friend's uncle's restaurants. So that was a lot of fun, man. I was just hoping that I was getting took on the first day. Because I would have been bad. You know, you see it all the time, you throw this whole party and everything. And then, you know, you're waiting. And luckily I didn't have to wait too long. I was 7 picks, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, you didn't wait long, did you?
Not long. Yeah.
Well, obviously, you've had a great career in the league. You know, we got a chance to run to that Super Bowl together. That was a special season. I felt like, you know, I thought that was one of my more fun seasons of my career. What did you feel about that season and that team?
Man, hands down, the greatest team I've been a part of. Just from top to bottom, man, like the organization, the culture that we built there, man, it was just everybody had each other's backs, man. You know, it was crazy. And when there was times where we did have a little adversity, nobody pointed fingers. Everybody just looked at each other like, man, how can I get better? You know what I mean? And that was the amazing part about it. You know what I'm saying? And we had one of the top defenses in the league, and there was games where we struggled. I mean, I always remember that New Orleans game, man. For me, it was not a defensive game. It was a straight offense. You know, and that was one of those games where we needed the offense to show up, and Jimmy and the offense showed up. You know, we just kept battling, and going earlier in the season, you know, we playing Pittsburgh at home, and our offense turns the ball over 5 times in our own red zone, and you know, defense got to get back on the field. Like, hey, come on, need another stop. We held them all of 5 turnovers and held them to field goals. You know what I mean? And like, it's just little things like that where, you know, one side wasn't clicking, like, hey, bro, don't worry, we got your back.
All right.
You know what I mean? So it's just that special bond that we all had, but like on and off the field, which was the biggest thing. And that's what I try to do, you know, when I came to the Colts, it's like the off the field stuff, you know, going to those dinners and, you know, having guys over the house, you know, building those relationships, because when you're on the field, it's something special. You know, those relationships that you've built off the field, you know, when you get on the field, you go even that much harder for each other. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like that's the season where it all came together and we really did that for each other.
No question. I think that's still one of the most silly D lines I've ever seen, you know, put together. I think once it's all said and done, people go look at that D line like, how did y'all do this?
And a sick part about it is, man, like, not finishing it, man. You know, getting all the way there. Obviously, you know how it feels to get the job done, and to not get the job done. That's the hardest part, because nobody's really going to remember how historical that team was, that D line was to be a part of. Like, nobody remembers second place. That's the hardest part, man.
No, they don't. Tough. I ain't seen that NFC Championship ring since.
I feel that, brother. I feel that.
Oh, man. The new Gran Turismo movie is based on a true story of a teen's journey from video game player to real-life racer. The movie follows Jan Martinborough, a construction worker from Wales
who, through his skills on Gran Turismo, the video game, broke into the elite world of professional motorsports. Jan receives the chance of a lifetime when Nissan and Sony host a competition to identify the best GT players and give them a shot at racing in real life. Doubted by his family, his fellow racers, and even his coach, Jan is an unlikely outsider trying to change the game and break into an exclusive and incredibly dangerous sport. If he can find a way to win, he will change the game forever. This state-of-the-art movie recreates some of the most famous and dynamic racing competitions in the world in breathtaking sequences that need to be seen on the big screen. You can't just watch it in your living room. Directed by Neil Blomkamp, the visceral action, sounds, and the thrills of the racetrack were brought to life using actual Nissan GTs, drones, and practical effects, all shot with the most sophisticated technology and advanced cameras. The racing sequences were so realistic that Jan Martinborough himself actually served as a stunt driver for the film. The movie features an incredible cast led by David Harbour alongside Orlando Bloom, Jaymon Hansu, Jerry Hollowell Horner, and Archie Madikwe as Jan Mattenborough. Gran Turismo is exclusively in theaters August 11th. Get your tickets today. Rated PG-13.
So how has it been in Indy? You know, obviously, you know, it's been kind of rough with Frank, and then the Jeff Saturday whole ordeal. How was that?
The transition, you know, bringing in obviously Jeff Saturday. He didn't have a whole lot of coaching experience or anything. So, you know, the guys were kind of everybody was kind of thrown off a little bit with the hire and, you know, thinking that it's going to be just somebody in-house. And, you know, I mean, when he came in, you know, first team meeting, he had great energy, you know, obviously. And you can see why he was you know, he did things that he did in his career. Just a leader. You could tell he's a great leader of men. You know what I mean? He motivated guys. The tempo in practice changed. You know, I feel like guys started practicing with more urgency, which was great. Obviously, we came out that week one where he, you know, what was it, 8 or 9, and beat the Raiders. You know, guys were, you know, feeling it and everything. But obviously, you know, when you don't have a coach with a whole lot of experience, but like, you know, they're breaking down offensively, they're trying to find answers. So they're trying to narrow things down in the playbook, you know, so guys can play fast and little things like that. But those things catch up with you, you know, not having a really big game plan going into games and narrowing things down. So, I mean, it's the NFL, you know what I mean? So that kind of caught up with us, and, you know, it's just kind of a snowball effect, you know, and that was a tough part, man. And seeing the fight go out of guys so early, you know, halfway through the season, that was tough. I mean, it was hard coming into the building and really, you know, obviously, I'm going to do what I can do to help the team. You know, a lot of guys, you know, the captains on the team, you know, trying to push guys and push ourselves to do the best that we can to help the squad. But at the end of the day, when everybody's not on the same page,
it don't matter.
I mean, it don't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty. I mean, it's tough because you come in with high expectations. You come in, you know, expecting division title. You compete, and things go kind of left. Then the coach change is demoralizing, and then you're like looking for recovery, and then they're killing the game plans, and you're like, wait, like they'll figure this out by halftime. Like they're gonna
exactly.
They're gonna figure this out by halftime. It's the league,
right? And we got to make some type of adjustments or something. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, it was tough, man. It was a grind. It was one of them years you had to grind through it. Grind through it.
Well, this is a new year and new hope, new coach Shane. Did a great job last year, and looks to be a solid head coach addition. What has he changed about it? You know, obviously it's been OTAs. It hasn't been training camp or
right.
You know, anything significant. But how has he been?
Man, he's been great. I mean, just seeing the way he's really establishing the culture he wants here, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Around the building, you know, really seeing, you know, he's really getting on just the little things, the little details, you know what I mean, that matter. The guys really, you know, we always say it's cliche to say, but it's all the details, little things that you do each and every day. You know what I mean? To to really build a culture that you want, to build that winning culture that you want. It was new, obviously. It was a lot for, obviously, even for some vets, it was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I could see what coach was doing, which was like, getting all that nonsense stuff out the way early, so that when it came to training camp, you already knew what time it was. And we're not trying to establish culture. We're not trying to establish any of that little, addressing little things that we should have been addressed back in OTAs. It's already been done. And so we're just moving forward and we're really getting the ball rolling. So that's what I've been really loving from him, and just talking to him and seeing how his mind works with ball. The man he knows ball. He's all ball, which I love. And, he's obviously a big offensive minded guy. And, I'm just seeing what the offense is doing and seeing what he can do, even with AR back there and even with Garner back there. It's going to be fun to see. I'm just excited to see them put some points up this year so we can really get after it on defense.
No question, because y'all still got a lot of talent on that defense.
Yeah.
Obviously, you talked about Anthony Richardson, and he's been on the hype train, since that performance at the Combine. How has he been?
Oh, yeah, man. He's been great. Just seeing him working every day. He's made definitely some good some great spectacular throws in practice. Like any other rookie. Obviously, he's still got work to do, but I could say one big thing really watching him is his pocket presence. He really has a good feel for the rush when he's looking downfield, being able to extend plays. And obviously with the quarterback position nowadays, just with the guys rushing the quarterback, you need a kind of a dual threat quarterback, or a quarterback with great pocket presence and being able to extend plays down the field. That's kind of where the game is going right now. And, having him is a great addition. When he came on his visit to the Colts, they told me who he was, and I'm like, man, that boy look like a DN.
Right.
Just the way he's built. I'm like, bro, he could be a DN, but he's got all the attributes to be a great quarterback. He just got to put the work in.
No question. Just like everybody else, you always got to put the work in. But it seems like a great situation for a young quarterback to be in with a new offensive-minded head coach. So what are your goals for this season? Because, you've been the All-Pro. You've been at the top of the game. You got the second most sacks since you came in the league, behind the great Aaron Donald, of course. It just had to be him.
Right. Exactly, yeah. Man, my thing personally, just going through this off season, my biggest thing is just respect. That's my biggest thing right now. Like, I feel like everybody's kind of falling off, and I feel like my name's been falling down the charts in defensive tackle play. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I got to remind people who I really am. And,
no question.
And the other thing is, obviously, I want All-Pro. I want Pro Bowl. For my personal goals. Personally, I want to set a record for myself, my PR with sacks this year, because I know I can do it. And I've been close a couple this past year, definitely been close. I definitely left some out there for sure last year, and that's my personal goals, man. And obviously, like anybody, the main goal is the Super Bowl. But personally, those are my goals for sure. But the first things first is that respect.
No question. It's only gotten out there. You only can get it out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of disrespect, I don't know if you're still playing Madden. I stopped a little while ago. Things start getting weird.
Yeah. Right.
But they got you as the 13th best defensive tackle. I said, okay, stay off the weed.
See,
goodness.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying, dog. Just little things like that. I'm like, okay, you just feel the fire, baby. You know what I mean? And just little things like that. I was actually talking with my wife before I got on with you. She said, you're the man, right? I said, I know. She goes, yeah, because like you just said, they got you the 13th best on Madden. She be looking at all the little things, bro. She's like, I'm mad for you. I'm like, I know.
I love it. Wifey say, I'm about to put the bulletin board up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So she be looking at all that stuff. Like before even I even know it. So I'm like, word? I'm like, all right, bet, So yeah, it's gonna be a great year.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. I'm sad that we don't get to see y'all on TNF this year. That's kind of frustrating. I was looking at the schedule. I said, come on now, what we doing,
bro? It's crazy, man. I'm like, not one primetime game this year. Not one.
Like-
not even they couldn't even give us a Thursday night.
Right. That's what I was
Man.
like, I thought everybody at least get it.
I thought that was by default. By default, I thought everybody had one. I said, damn, we couldn't even get a Thursday night. That's crazy, dog. They put it in the preseason. That's what they did. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to slide in the preseason. You good. Man.
Right. We'll watch y'all in the preseason. We ain't going to watch y'all the other time. Like, come the heck home, bro. Like,
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get it. I get it. Like last year, it was bad. It was bad, but come on, dog.
No, it's like, always, and people have bad seasons every year. They still get at least one primetime game.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
And y'all got a young quarterback, like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought at least, but that should be motivation for the team, you know?
Right. You know, I mean, shoot, we start stacking them these wins, they're going to put us on. That's all we got to do.
They start flexing games.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you, brother. I won't hold you anymore. I know you got to get to your flight. Always good to see you. Always good to hear from you. And, you know, hopefully we run into each other soon.
Oh, yeah, already. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me, dog. Hope the fam's doing good. You know what I'm saying? So, have a good one, bro.
I appreciate it. Hope yours is doing good, too. Reminder, every episode of this podcast premieres live on AMP. So download the app, subscribe to me at Richard Sherman to tune in to all of our shows live.